So you guys want to hear a really funny story? I was just walking up there and I was thinking about this because you see they have the dais, but they have these clear glass barriers. And when we first got in here and we were doing a meeting or something in here, and I have like crashed into one trying to like get over. I almost like flipped over the top. Oops. Crash into it. It's fine. So what's the best color? Down there, like the color thing intrigues me. Yeah, I'm a little jealous. Like we moved up here and like having more space is great. More conference room space especially. But I had 2 windows in my old office. And I don't have any in this office. So like trying to put stuff up on the wall, like I'm like, oh my gosh. Now how am I supposed to watch people like slide backwards on 6th Street when the snow comes? That's entertaining. I look forward to it every year. I always joke that I was like, I'm gonna stay in my office, my old office. We should get one. That's a good thing. Yeah. Look at that. Problem solving. I like it. I'm gonna ask John. Yeah. There's gotta be I'm like, can I have that? Can we just have that popped up? I'm gonna ask. I really am. I will absolutely be coming to visit during the day. And I'm upstairs. Like sometimes I just gotta get up and walk around. Like I'm locked in this hallway up there. So it's like take a lap, and I totally will. And you guys have a breakfast buffet. Why wouldn't I? What? I would be in the Haunted Mansion. I would not hate it. I'd be up there like Borat, like king in the castle, king in the castle. No. Well, it's 10 o'clock. How's everybody doing? Really? It is Friday. Are we glad it's Friday? I'm glad it's Friday. It isn't a payroll Friday. Next week is. And next week we get Thursday off at the very least. Friday, when are we going to Friday? I mean, it beats Tuesday. It is better than a Monday. So I don't know if everybody in here knows me. I'm Brittany. I work in human resources. This week, I will share a little bit. This is actually the first training that I have given where I'm up here presenting as myself to the employee body. So it has been a really interesting experience. I am focusing a little bit this year. I've usually been in recruitment. A lot of you have kind of come through, and I've been either on interview panels or in your in-processing, which is awesome. And now I'm shifting gears a little bit. Courtney's going to take some of the reins on recruiting. We're going to move forward. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's here in person. I am a huge proponent of talking to people in person. A lot of you know that. Hey, come talk to me, and we'll have a conversation. We're going to get into it. I love that. I love being out there. Talking about annual evals. One of my goals this year, just want to tell you guys, is ADP, which has been a huge undertaking for our department, but a very great undertaking, is going to free up some availability and get rid of some manual processes. So my goal for 2024 is to spend at least 1 day a month in every department out working, and I'll be on my laptop working for that day, but you guys are going to have accessibility, right? Random questions. What's an deductible? Can I get insurance cards? Like that. Whatever it is. Or, talk about the weather. That's fine too. So again, thank you for coming in person. I really appreciate that. Those of you who are on Teams, appreciate you guys logging in too. I don't babysit Teams during my presentations. I'm sorry. I don't multitask well. So if you have questions and stuff, I apologize. You can absolutely reach out to me after. We're going to talk today about evals and the annual evals. We're going to talk about what those look like in ADP. And we're going to talk about some changes that are occurring with evals and how you guys can make these evals work for you. Some of you look a little skeptical. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to ask me some questions too. Hopefully you guys can stump me. That's always my goal. I hope every time I do a training like this, if somebody asks me a question that I cannot answer. Okay? I'm interactive in my trainings. Okay? I'm going to do shows of hands. I would love it if you guys participate. It's going to be big group things. If you don't, I understand, but I would like you to. Please don't fall asleep. It's not fun getting up in front of the employee body. And when I'm sitting here and I'm trying to talk to you, because I wouldn't be up here if I didn't think what I was going to say mattered. Please don't fall asleep when I'm trying to talk to you. I will call you out if you do, just so you know. I'm sorry. So a little business keeping there. So we'll get started. So this year, we're going to do It's Eval time. Who in here has worked for the city long enough to at least have done one annual review? That process on paper, typically kind of underwhelming, right? Your supervisor does it, whatever they've done on their end. You bring you in, you talk about it. Yeah, okay. They hand it to you. There's some comment boxes on there. And you sign it and give it back to them. And then we really don't think about it again until HR makes us do this again next November, December, sometimes January. Is that a fair statement? Kind of underwhelming. Kind of feels like maybe a little waste of time. It's not, but we're gonna improve that. That's the goal here. So we've all seen the old eval forms, and today we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're gonna do and why we're gonna make that better. We're gonna bring performance management up to speed. A lot of what we've been saying in the premise in HR has been we're coming out of the 80s and into the 2020s this year with ADP. There are things we've been doing the old way on paper and very manually for a long time, and it feels good to kind of bring this up to speed and be able to give a little bit more back to you with some of this stuff. This is your employee guide to getting more out of your annual review. More for you. Good, right? Like, that's why we're here. Is like that good? Is that a good thing? Okay. So today, we're going to look at the employee review process in ADP. We're going to talk about what should we be covering? What should we even be talking about during these evals? And questions that you should be asking your leadership during your annual review meeting. How many of you, show of hands, honest question, in your review meetings now feel like that is your meeting to talk about you and what you want to see and maybe provide some feedback to your supervisor or anything like that? How many of you feel that way? Good. Those of you who do, that's great. How many of you feel like it's this report card, kind of strenuous, they're going to tell me what I'm doing wrong and what I'm not good at, and kind of getting anxious about it? That's fair. It's honest. I have a philosophy, and many of you who have ever had a conversation with me know this. I love employee questions. I love it when people come and engage and ask that. I love when people get involved. I won't always have the answer you want to hear. I will not always have the greatest answer, the most poetic answer. My commitment to you guys as employees, because let's not kid ourselves, I work for you, is I will always give you an honest answer. All right, so with that being said, we're going to look at ADP. Who in here has gotten into ADP? We should have it on our phones. Anybody in here struggling with that? Haven't gotten it? We've all gotten it? We're all in there? Has it been harassing you about open enrollment pretty relentlessly? Yeah, it's a little aggressive, isn't it? I'll be honest with you guys. I haven't finished my open enrollment yet. We have till Wednesday. Wednesday's the deadline. You know that because ADP has been telling you that every day for... Who in here got the notice that they have their performance reviews ready? Okay. First thing that's different about performance reviews this year. So it's the same form we've used. We're just shaking it up a little bit. Employees go first. This process gets to start with you guys. Who in here has ever answered and filled out the question box on their eval before? Right? Because kind of that's done, right? You've already had the meeting. It's already done and over, unless you really have something to gripe about. What do you think? And I want to hear some guesses.
What do you think the percentage of people who fill that out? We have about a 420 employee base full-time. What percentage do you think actually fills those comment boxes out? Less than 10, 20? 20 is, that's hopeful. About 3% right now. And kid yourself not, we look at those. And we get them, they come upstairs to HR. We're last. I'm looking for patterns, I'm looking for things, right? We do pay attention. So, what does this look like in ADP? We've been in there, we know. The first thing I'm going to address really quick, because this is a question, a little gripe of mine about ADP, because you know what? As we get into the system, we are going to learn things. And we're gonna have some struggles, and we're gonna move forward. But what I learned this week is that we do not have the capability, and ADP does not have the review module on mobile. So they have to be done on a computer. What I want to address first is for those of you who work in areas where you don't sit at a desk. A lot of the work that gets done at the city is not done behind a desk. And you guys don't have maybe computer bays. There might be one shop computer. And so this thinks, well, this is worthless. How am I supposed to do that? This has already been addressed. I want to acknowledge it with you guys. Those of you who do not have computers are going to have the opportunity to come to City Hall. I have the resources. We're working on that in years forward. I'm trying to get computers out to Public Works. We're working on that, okay? Budget's tight, we're working on it. I promise it's a priority. But I have a training lab upstairs, I have an empty office, and I have a computer in HR. There's 4 of us up there. We know that resources are limited. Your leadership knows that. Your leadership knows that you need the time if you don't have the resources to come up. I don't want you to have to go home, even if you have a computer at home. Who has desktop computers at home? A lot of people don't anymore. Because why? Because these things do it all, right? So if you need the time to come up here and do your review, technology assistance, whatever it is, you have it. Talk to your foreman, talk to your direct supervisor. They know. They're in your corner. Okay? Set up time. If you don't need help on the technical process, but you have questions, we're going to talk about some of these things, and you need some assistance, you can call me. We can talk about it. You can come up. We can talk about it. Do that together. That's fine. Again, literally my job. Okay? Now that I've addressed that, we're going to look at what that looks like. So this is what, if you log in on the web, this is kind of what your intro page looked like. This is a little different. You guys, unless you have people who directly report to you, you won't have kind of this My Team tab. But you'll have the Myself tab. And you have like your notifications. And then your things to do. Kind of the similar, it shows up in the app that way as well. But this is what it looks like on the PC. So you've, like I said, a bunch of you raised your hand. You've gotten your things to do. You've gotten this notification. So where this is located and where you can access this anytime, not just when you have a notification, is you go under that Myself tab. Under the Talent, you're going to look at your performance dashboard. That's where your eval is. So you look at underneath there, you have performance goals. So in our evals, should we have some goals we're working towards? Yeah. Right now, what did we say happens? We have that conversation, it gets filed away. We don't think about them again until we have to have this conversation again next year because HR is making us do this. So what happens is your performance goals dashboard shows you kind of what goals you have ahead of you. It doesn't just get filed away. Now, not only can your supervisor add things in there pertaining to those goals, you can. Maybe one of your goals is, or again, literally one of my goals for 2024 is to spend a day a month in each department location out working. So would it be fair for me to go in and kind of add when I'm doing these things? You know, or hey, I got, 8 out of 20 this month. Got to do better next month. What happens a lot of the times when we do reviews and look at goals? What do we think about? It's hard to go back and look at an entire year, isn't it? So what happens a lot of the times? Do we think about maybe like that last quarter or what's been just happening kind of in the last month?
Not a good snapshot of the year. You forget things. Awesome, you can look at that anytime. So your goals, your leadership can make them, they come in two places. You can add them in your performance goals under there, or your leadership can build them in your eval itself, but they're always gonna be tied out on that performance goals page, okay? You guys have probably also seen on ADP in your profiles, you guys can add certifications, trainings, things like that, right? You're not required to, but you absolutely can. And if you're doing things, I would document it. Okay, so myself, talent, performance dashboard. And then you come up to this dashboard, okay? And in here, you're going to see your annual review. It's going to tell you who sent it to you, your reviewer, which is going to be your direct supervisor. And then on this one here, for this example, it's overdue. We got to start it, right? You can see down below, there's historical reviews. Now, as we move forward, obviously, previous years will be in there. The other type of reviews that may be in here, if you get put on a PIP, that could be in here. If you have final notice, maybe your boss wrote you up because you come to work 17 minutes late every day. So that's it. That might be in here, okay? So anything that's a review will be in there. New hire reviews will be in here too. That's those 3-month, 6-month, 9-month reviews will also be in here. They're not in here just yet. We're getting there. So you click on that, start now, and this is what it looks like once you're into the review. Now, you guys, like I said, start. The only things you're going to see in here are going to be the questions you have to answer, which are the same questions in the comment boxes on the review. We're going to talk about those next. But basically what it looks like is it shows your introduction, it shows you kind of what your references are. You have an actions tab, and then you have the next. So you're going to just kind of click next as you go through. But it shows you exactly where you're at in your process. That's what it looks like. The forms come up. That's what it looks like when you fill out your form. Again, it's not really rocket science, pretty self-explanatory there. Okay. You go through, you fill it out, and you come back to the dashboard. And now this is submitted, it's completed. You have your green check box, right? Easy peasy. That's pretty easy. Now, if we were just talking about what you guys needed to go in and do an ADP, we're done. That's easy. We did the ADP part. Congratulations, we got through that. But what questions are we answering? Because who in here, like we said, we haven't answered those questions. Do we even know what they are? Talk about it. I had to look. I don't know by heart. What comments, ideas, or suggestions would you add to your review? What can the city do to promote a better sense of overall employee satisfaction? Things like training, communications, participation, growth opportunities, benefits. Sean, wake up, please. What can your supervisor do to help you reach your professional potential? And what can be done to better serve the customers or citizens of Minot by the city, by your department, and by you? Some of those feel really big. I'm not going to lie to you guys here. I don't know why. I just got really lightheaded. I'm going to grab a chair and put this down here. Is that okay with everybody? I don't want to fall over. It's like we're in a living room. Okay. What comments, ideas, or suggestions would you add to your review? Now, this feels awkward starting. And the questions and the feedback that I've gotten is, how do I know what I'm supposed to say here when I haven't even seen what the review is yet? So I want you to think. Take a step back. What is your why? When you first applied at the City of Minot, why? Keep asking myself. That's great. And I'll be real. Sometimes our why is nothing more than I need to feed my family and keep a roof over our head. needed a job. The benefits are good. It's stable employment. Got laid off here. It's the first job I came across. That's honest and that's fine. Now again, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people in this room. Overwhelmingly, people work at the city because the benefits are good, because they want to, it gives us an opportunity to work for our community, to give back. Big one you hear, I wanted to help people. Stable, I'm here. So ask yourself, why, or maybe it's, why did you become a mechanic? What made you want to do that? What made you want to be a dispatcher? And maybe it found you. There's a lot of that too. Believe it or not, I wasn't a kindergartner growing up thinking I wanted to be an HR lady. Then ask yourself, what am I good at my job? Every single person has something at work that they are the master of. Like that is your thing, right? You're better than anybody else, or you know more about anybody else, or that, if somebody has a question on this, they're coming to you. Is that fair? Who in here has that? I say that confidently because even if you don't see it, either your direct supervisors see it or the people who work with you see it. Had so many conversations with employees over the years, been here for 9 years, close to a decade, and the amount of, well, I'm not good at so-and-so like this person, or I don't do this way, I can't do what this person does. And I've really noticed over the years how much admiration the people in this organization have for the people they work with. And I wish I could tell people some of those things sometimes, because I don't think that they know that that's seen. So I want you to ask yourself that. What am I good at? And what am I interested in? What part of my job? Like when you go to work during the day, what is the stuff you look forward to doing? Or what are you like, hey, that's a good day when I get to do that? Because we all have tasks and things we do in our jobs. Who in here has a task or thing in their job that it's like, you just got to do it? Don't love that part of my job, but it's part of it. I should see every single hand. If one of you guys loves every single aspect of your job, please come and talk to me because I'm putting your poster up as like this example of the most positive person I've ever met. I'm going to put your poster in my office because it's a reminder. That's funny. If that person is in this room, they probably need to be drug tested. I like it. But these are real, right? I want you to ask yourself, what do I want to learn about? And we'll take a step back. I want to look at this a little bit bigger. We all work. There's a lot of different departments and a lot of different divisions in this job that do a lot of different things. We have everybody from planning and zoning to the sanitation guys, who, let's give them a round of applause. They've had quite a year. Recycling coming on board. To the shop guys that make sure everybody can do their job out of public works. Huge support staff there. Pat on themselves on the back. You guys keep slow running. To the bus drivers who get our kids to school every day. And a ton of support staff that make sure that those people who are doing the work can do their jobs. Make no mistake, the magic in the Magic City happens where the work happens, and you guys are that work. You are the most important people in this organization. The first day we did this training, people were coming in here, and we were joking a little bit, and they said, we should sit up there in the big chairs. And I said, you absolutely should. You're the most important person. You're the most important people. You know what the response was? You're the only person who thinks that. That's not true. Some of these questions feel really big. And some of you have worked here long enough to feel pretty jaded that nobody's listening. Is that fair? Now, again, in my commitment to you, be honest, be direct. Have we had a lot of changes last year? Do we have whiplash a little bit? Yeah. Are we a little apprehensive, and is there maybe some distrust with what's going on at the top levels in this organization?
Absolutely.
Can I see a show of hands? Because let's be honest. Let's address this. I need you guys to understand one thing, and as somebody who sees all sides of it. Leadership in this organization wants nothing more than to fill your cups and give you everything that you need and want. They want your benefits to be top tier. They want to give you every advantage. They do not sit in a room and think of ways to take things away from you. I see it. Now, before my life as an HR lady, my previous life, I used to run as an account manager for self-funded health plans. I ran health plans. When I first came to the city, I was floored at how good our health plan was. My jaw dropped. I hadn't seen, I'm gonna age myself a little bit here. I hadn't seen anything that good since the early 2000s, way before PPACA. A $250 deductible, that just doesn't exist. They rate health insurance coverages. City has platinum coverage, platinum premiums. You guys aren't paying much of anything. One of the best things I liked about ADP is on your pay stubs, you see with every benefit what you pay for it and what the city pays for it. It gives you a little sneak peek into what, and that amount added together is what that coverage costs a month. I don't know if anybody has these conversations out in the world. I'm a nerd. I live for stuff like this. But out in the world, I would implore you, ask your friends and family how many premium increases and how much things have gone up off of their paychecks, how much their insurance costs. And go ahead and ask them what that insurance even covers. And sure, and one of the big questions I get, I'll point to the state plan, city versus county, if you will. But some of these plans, HSA, well, yeah, they'll pay for it. It's free. Sure. They might pay for that coverage. And then there's an HSA. But unless you're putting money in that HSA, which is essentially your premium, if your kid breaks their arm, is that helpful? Your kids break their arms? Do we need to go to the doctor? You guys have insurance coverage that's usable. And I can tell you, I sit in those rooms, I work on those, and how much work goes into making sure that those plans are run efficiently, that the coverage is good, that we're doing things on the back end to make sure that the costs don't translate to you guys. Do you know what the number one priority is anytime we go in to have those meetings? How do we absorb this cost? We aren't transferring them to the employee. What do we do? It's not a secret. You guys read the paper. Budgets are tight. We go in there. Leadership is buying for you. We can't take away. This came up in a couple meetings. I'm not addressing PTO today. We're not going to talk about that specifically. If anybody has questions, comments, concerns on that, please give us a call. I'm happy to discuss it. We have an hour today to talk about what we're talking about, so we're not going to address that. But what I'm saying is your leadership cares, and they want, and
To be honest and direct and real. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. We need employees to be here. We need to retain our employees. We want to retain our employees. Can we do that if we're sitting in a room taking things away from them? No, that's not what's happening. And so I want to clear up that misconception. A good example, I'm going to pick on Bobby. I just helped Courtney post animal control officer. And I was looking for ways to promote this. And there was a video that was made a few years back. And it was a great video. There's like Law and Order music in the beginning of it. And that's my favorite TV show, so I was jazzed. But I really got excited, and actually all of us in HR did, because Bobby got interviewed. And very, very directly, Bobby said, the first thing I want to say is I want people to know, or what do you want people to know about being an animal control officer? I don't want to take your dog away from you. I don't want you to have to get rid of your dog. I'm here to make sure that doesn't happen. How many people do you think have that opinion, that he felt the need to address that? So when Bobby's coming on site and those people, their first thought is that he's there to steal their dog and that's his intention, are we already off on the wrong foot? That's why this is important. I want you guys to know that, as somebody who sits on both sides of the table. And you know what? I'm a ground floor employee too. I'm right here. I'm one of you. So I know. I see both sides of it. So with that being said, they also want you to grow in your careers. You are not a number and you are not a robot. When you start at the city, and again, maybe it was something you pursued, a career path you pursued, and maybe it was something that, felt temporary in the beginning, or maybe it was something you landed into. But what do you want to do with that? Do you want to be in that job in 3 years? In 5 years? 10 years? Ask yourself, what do you want to do? I say this because what's going to happen at the city in the next 5 to 10 to 15 years? Do we have a lot of retirements coming? Are there a lot of people that get to that golden age of their careers where they get to retire? Hopefully. Yeah. What does that create? Opportunities. Opportunities. And what does it create for me? Maybe. No, what it creates for me is a job to do. I want our workforce to be ready. I want our people, and I want the people who work here now to be able to step up and fill those roles and chase those opportunities. The example I used yesterday or Wednesday, I'm sorry, this has been a long week, was, maybe I work in HR because I fell here, but maybe it's my dream to be a bulldozer operator at the landfill. Does that not seem like a really fun job? No? And so, if I'm being honest and I'm talking to my boss and I say, hey, I really would like to do this. I want to look into doing this. The city doesn't, it's not that, if you're this is where you belong, this is where you are, this is where you stay. No. Ask the question, would my boss, what's she going to do? She might, raise her eyebrow at me for a minute, but what's going to happen? Okay, well, let's get you, print out the job description for every equipment operator and get you Alan Shefstad's number so I guess you can talk about that. What can your supervisor do to help you reach your professional potential? Now, a lot of positions at the city have career ladders. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Or light equipment to medium to heavy. That's not always a career ladder. I know that there's a promotional test in there. But there's kind of a track for some of these. Do you know what that track looks like? Do you know what the requirements are to hit that next step? To get that next career ladder, to get that next pay bump? Does everybody in here know what that looks like for them? Is that a valid question if you don't know to your supervisor?
Usually there's a time component, sometimes there's an experience component, and sometimes there's an education component if you need certain trainings or certifications to get there. Do a lot of our jobs come with professional technical knowledge that come with certifications that the city can pay for us to go learn and get that certificate, get those letters behind our names? Yeah. Water plant operators, utility operators, mechanics. How many of you, maybe you're in public works, and back in the day it was a little bit different, so I don't know about in here, but how many people in the last 5 years even started in various departments without a CDL, and the city's helped them get their CDL? That's a pretty big opportunity. But what do those look like? Maybe you are one of the people, because these paths upward it's not always to be the foreman to go into leadership. That's not what they always look like, okay? Maybe you are though. What do I need to know to learn how to manage people? Because a lot of you have worked at the city for a long time. Have you seen somebody get promoted into leadership and they have to learn a lot of lessons they are not necessarily ready? Do you think that's a scary thing? Frontline managers, your first line managers, have some of the most difficult jobs in the organization. They are trying to work alongside you, do a ton of administrative work. They're taking whatever is rolling downhill to them and trying to meet you guys in the middle. There's a lot of plates spinning and a lot of tasks in every day. Is it fair to say that they maybe don't know everything? Who in here thinks their direct supervisor knows everything that they should know? Is it fair to say that that's an honest conversation, that they might not know that you want to do this? Sometimes opportunities aren't formal. When you first started a job, does anybody remember when they first started the city, first couple weeks? Who in here remembers that? Our eyes were open, we were smiling. Yeah, okay. But within your first week or two, you're observing, kind of getting the feel for things. Do you know, in your mind and in your head, are you looking at the people and identifying who you want to learn from and who you don't want to learn from? But do you see those people? And I'll tie that back. You are seen. Those of you who think you're not special or good at your job, pretty cool thought. So no, you identify those people. They have things to teach us, and is it a fair conversation of your supervisor, especially if you're new? But hey, can I ride with this person? Can they teach me this? Probably not a reason they'd say no. Well, sure. Now, some of you have been here a long time. Who's sitting in this room has been with the city more than 15 plus years? You guys are awesome, by the way. Love you. Sometimes we kind of feel like we're capped out. Maybe there's an honest conversation to be had with, your direct supervisor and upwards where, hey, can we look at doing a career ladder? Like, why don't we have one? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. I'm not saying that, you're going to get it if you ask for it. This isn't, a Christmas list, or maybe you are that subject matter expert that some of those new employees that are coming in learn from. You've been at your job for over a decade, almost two, some of you. Do you have valuable things to teach people? Have you learned lessons over that last 15 years that you can only learn that comes with doing the job? What do I wish that somebody had taught me or was able to show me when I started?
there value in that? You guys tell me, is there? Does it help the team if the new guys start learning things rather than creating all of the, learning the hard way all the way through? Does that create more work for all of us? Like, sure, valuable lessons, and you had to learn it the hard way, so why shouldn't they? But at the end of the day, does it create more work for us? Yeah. How many people in this room, this is a real show of hands, at your eval meetings, have told your supervisors what they do well and what they could do better? Who in here didn't know that they could even do that? Who in here thought that was something their leadership even wanted from them? So I did leadership training last week on evals. You know what one of their biggest hangups is? They come to these meetings, and it's a formal process for them. Same thing. Have to do it. You guys, HR makes us do these forms every year. And then, you're trying to look at that whole year. They're running into kind of some of the same roadblocks. But then they sit in this room with you, and what is a lot of their response? Well, I don't know. I don't know. Huh? I don't know. Or you don't care, or you convince yourself you don't care. It's just, we have to do this. Let's check the box. Let's get out of here. How many people in here have felt that way? Hey, I really like it when we do our Wednesday morning team meets and you bring donuts in. I love that we all get a chance to just talk, and I'm food motivated, so that's great for me. Is that an honest, good feedback? Maybe they don't know that people even like it, and they're just, sometimes because people grumble in the mornings, it's like, oh, I gotta be here. Hey, I don't do well when you correct me in front of the other guys. I panic, I freeze. I want to do better, and I want to learn this, but when you call me out in front of these guys, I feel about 2 centimeters tall, and I can't react in that moment. I want to do things outside of, safety. I don't want somebody to get their arm chopped off, but is it fair to ask your supervisor, hey, can you correct me? Can we touch base on this? I mean, whether it's, 5 minutes at the end of the day and you can tell me what I'm working on, whatever. That's one of the other conversations. Feedback should be happening more than once a year. We talk about that. Some people want more feedback. Some people want less. A lot of the times that's generational. Again, those of you who have been in this room and been with this organization for 15, 20 years, do you want a weekly check-in? If that foreman starts looking over your shoulder, what are you going to say? Why don't you trust me to do my job? Leave me alone. Why are we doing this? It feels a little bit critical. And I don't use any of these terms derogatorily, just to preface this. You have your boomers, you have your Gen X's, you have your millennials, you have your Gen Zers. The spectrum varies, and there's other factors that go into this. I'm not saying there's not outliers, but typically your boomers, they want to be trusted to do their jobs. It varies a little bit down. You get to Gen Z, they like constant feedback, constant communication, because they're pretty used to that. That's kind of culturally how the world is today. A lot of anxiety surrounding their performance, what they're doing. Talked about that with leadership. Let your supervisor know, again, where you're at. Hey, can you touch base with me a little more? I'd like to know, I know that I'm making mistakes. Like, I know there's stuff I can do, and nobody's saying it, I just don't know. And if you could just let me know, and, these don't have to be big formal conversations. But if your supervisor says, hey, you're doing really good with that, let's work on here, right? Well, yeah, but nobody's ever showed me how to do that. Well, hey, light bulb, have we just solved or discovered the issue? Identified the problem? Oh, well, go talk to, Joe Bob. He'll teach you that in 5 minutes. He's the expert. Okay? What do you like? What do you don't like? What's working? What's not? A lot of people on the initial, and I gave this training, and the initial reaction, comments, feedbacks was, I don't want to be first. What if what I say impacts my review? Fear of retaliation. I'll tell you, a lot of the times in this process, your leadership, your supervisors, they're going through, they're doing their reviews, they're consulting with, if they're the superintendent or whatever, they're going through, they're doing their reviews. It's already kind of done by the time we're at this process. But they're not looking to penalize you. They need to know. So they don't know all the information, but what we say on that, how we address these comments, does that matter? Now again, 3% of people fill out those comment boxes now. Now 3%, you think it's because they're disgruntled and they have something to say? Do you think they're saying it constructively? Now what I mean is it constructive to say, yeah, this department sucks. My boss is a jerk. Well, okay. Why? So this department sucks because none of us know what we're doing. We can't keep anybody employed, and it's on the border of potentially being unsafe because none of us know what to do. We haven't been taught. I really do. Does that give us a starting point? Now I'm going to take it out just a little bit and let you know, again, I read these. And you have to put stuff in these. So this year when you go in to do these, there's going to be those little red asterisks, right? What I don't want to see is NA, no comment. Don't do that. If you don't have anything to say because it's all good, say what's good and say what's working. But if not, you got to tell me. Tell your supervisors, really. If your supervisors complaining without any solutions or without telling, what's going on and what's creating this, maybe you don't know, leads us to nowhere.
Well, they may read them, but can they delete them and then?
No.
there's nowhere?
No.
I want to know that,
Yeah.
he may retaliate, but you know what?
100%. So the question is, for those of you who are online, is if I put a comment in there and it goes to my supervisor, can they delete my comments out? No. They're going to add theirs, and there may be a contributor. So if there's another layer, of leadership in there, there might be, this person's comments and this person's comments. So maybe your foreman and your superintendent or your sergeant or your lieutenant. The other question I get, and again, some of this is based in fear, and that's honest, and that's good. Fear is a real emotion. Anger is a secondary emotion. Fear is a good one. If I don't agree with my review and my ratings, can I get it back and respond and rebut? Because yours are first, right? But yeah, you've always been able to do that. That's not changing. So now, what would happen? You'd get your paper review, you'd have your meeting, you wouldn't agree, and what would you do? You'd either write it out, you're going to call HR, we're going to tell you, okay, yeah, write out what you don't agree with. We attach it, we put it in your file, kind of goes in the file with the review. You still have that option. Write that email, send that letter, we'll put it in your file, it's still there. It's still being addressed the same way. It's not going away just because this is in a digital form and it doesn't go back and forth. But how do we have honest, and constructive, telling them you're really not good at your job, and you suck at this, and we need this. Again, literally my job. Call me and ask me how we draw that map and how we say that because again, do we want our do you want your supervisor to fail? No. That doesn't help you either, does it? So we need to communicate in a way where we're both on the same mission. How many of you guys have asked your supervisors ever, or in your reviews, what challenges the department's looking at? Do you think that impacts your daily work? Challenges the department's facing? They may not be bringing these to you guys as coffee conversation, but is it relevant? Absolutely. It's difficult, you're right. It is difficult when, in the past and throughout history, if you ask for things, you don't get them, and then you see other places get maybe positions or resources that you didn't get. Okay. Okay, so again, concerns about what's happening above there and where resources are going and how things are being done. I'm going to bring this back just a little bit. Some of this is really big, and some of this feels like, no. You're not supposed to talk about politics at work. I'm not going to talk about politics. What I'm going to say is, can you do anything about what's happening in the White House right now? Where does it start? At home, in your communities. So let's think about that. Let's apply that here. Do you think your direct supervisor probably has frustrations with some of these things too? Maybe those are department challenges. Hey, we're really fighting for budget dollars, and we might have to do more with less, but this is what we can do, and this is where my head's at. And maybe it's a brainstorming, but maybe that's just information that you guys have in common. We're finding common ground. We're on the same team. Help them help you. Start here. They want to help you, and they don't have all the answers. We want that. If there's anything I've learned in the 10 years working in government and in life, is that there's power in documentation and there's power in numbers. Let me frame it to you this way. There's a crew of 20 people, and 18 of them say, I'm gonna quit. We need training. We need trench safety. Like, we're down here, there's all these water breaks and not enough of us had it, and this is terrifying. Do you think by the time that gets to the superintendent and, the public works director, do you think that's gonna perk their ears a little bit? Ooh, that's a need. And it can be as obscure as, let's say, hey, I want the city to offer pet insurance. The city can better serve that by, giving us this benefit. Pet insurance is the thing. Do you think if I see 5,000 of those come in that I might look at pet insurance? We might look at that as part of the package. Hey, maybe. But do you also think that your leadership might say, hey, I know we need this trench safety training, and maybe budget dollars are really tight, and God only knows we're fighting those battles. I don't know how many of you come to the budget meetings or hear some of the testimony that gets given and hear your leaders fighting for you. But do you think that it gives them a leg to stand on if 18 out of 20 of their people ask for trench safety training, and when they're coming to ask a council for money, that's on there and they have that to point to? Do you think that helps them or hurts the cause? Probably helps. Okay.
Maybe it's not the same anymore, but there was. Kind of hard for us who've been here a long time to trust that because we learned a long how to do your job.
Comment, and the question is you're up here telling us there's no retaliation. Some of us have seen that. It's happened in the past. It's hard to trust that it's not going to happen again. Who in here has ever made a mistake or done anything wrong?
I can't change things that happened in the past. I'm not saying they didn't. I'm not here to argue semantics. I'm here to tell you that I came up here, told you I'm a resource for you, told you I'm looking at these, told you I'm willing to help you, telling you I sat in this very room and had pretty direct conversations with leadership to see where they're at. I'm telling you that is not the intentions. It's not where they're at. It's not what we're trying to do. Don't, it's a valid.
Where we came from.
Absolutely.
It is hard for long-term employees.
So Sean, is
I
that,
don't want to put my own comments. It's hard.
okay? So if you're nervous and it's like, hey, this happened before and this is how it came up, if you want to address that with me, again, I'm more than happy to go through it. I'm aware that that's where we start. And then if your review comes in and it's all zeros and all of a sudden, Sean's, I don't know
It's-
how it happens.
it's more
Then
stuff like later down the road, like promotion, and they're clearly, the supervisor has said, okay,
if anybody has specific concerns, I'm happy to address those and have those conversations outside of this meeting. I'm not invalidating you. I have an hour, we're coming up on that, and I want to wrap up a little bit here. Okay, I'm not invalidating you. Let's one off that a little bit if there's concerns. And everybody in this room if there is some. Okay. I'm gonna stand back up here. Don't feel like I'm gonna fall over anymore. So that's positive. Thanks for bearing with me a little bit. How do you provide constructive feedback? These are things we talk about. Remember, complaining without a path forward goes nowhere. We all want to do better, but if we had the answers, we'd be there. Remember your why. Where do you want to go? What are some specific questions? Impactful questions you can ask yourself and your manager. Have I met the expectations you had for me this year? How are you measuring my progress or growth? Is it a fair question to ask what they're looking at specifically so you know what they're looking at? Is that fair? What opportunities are available to me? What's out there? What do I not know about? I don't know what I don't know. What's our department's biggest challenge currently? What do you see as my greatest strength within our department? Who in here wants their supervisor to tell them what they're awesome at and how great they are? What technical skills can I improve? How can I do that? How can I be more supportive of the team? Well, you can, maybe it's answer your emails. There's people in this organization who don't ever answer emails. Maybe there's people in here who aren't very good at being friendly. They're really good at their job, but maybe, and maybe it's not intentional, but maybe it's, hey, you could try to have a conversation, try to maybe smile. Don't bark at people. Drink your coffee before you get to work so you're not asleep, Ask my coworkers, they've seen me. Sometimes it's like, can you drink your coffee before you get here? And what career paths exist for me at the city? Hey, this is eventually, or hey, I have, this background and I'd like to kind of get into that. Or come talk to me. Lots of different things. If something exists in the private sector, chances are we have some sort of equivalent here in the private or public sector. We have attorneys, we have accountants, we have HR ladies, dispatchers, cops, firefighters, sanitation professionals, equipment operators. What are things that would be fun? I heard about, and I'm kind of talking to you guys, Public Works, apparently at some point there used to be like a rodeo. We had equipment rodeos where people would kind of like compete how well they could operate things. Are there fun ideas that we could do, morale boosters? Recognition. The recognition committee is looking for people. If you guys have feedback on those types of things, come on up. Every other Thursday at the landfill. We met yesterday, or at the landfill, the airport, I'm sorry. The airport at 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.
every other Thursday at the airport. We met yesterday, so 2 Thursdays from yesterday. Gonna be in it? Leadership top down wants that support. You guys have buy-in. Talk to your supervisors. Again, I'm a resource. Questions, concerns, you need help, you need advice, call me. My job, it's my focus. I want to help you. I want to be out there. You're going to be seeing a lot more of me, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry. But I'm going to be there. That's my commitment to you. What I need you guys to do for me, and for all of us, honestly, is to let me know what's working, what isn't. If ADP is like, this is like, okay, this is all great, but it needs to stop notifying me all day, every day, whatever. Again, this is a new product. Do you think that HR and administration knows everything about it? Do you think that we're learning and we want to see what's working for our people and what isn't? Yeah, we want it to be successful. We're learning. Help, feedback, help. I want to know, good, bad, the ugly. Okay? None of this is a wish list. This is not a Christmas list. I'm not Santa. I'm not saying if you put that you want something on your eval that it's magically going to come true. There's a lot of factors that go into that. What I'm saying is we want to help. We want to get on the right path. We want to draw that map. We want to see how we can get there. There might be some baby steps. There might be some big steps. We don't know what we're going to learn. We got to have the conversation, okay? Any questions, comments, concerns as we come up right at 11 that are pertaining to this meeting? Nobody has a question that I can't answer? Nobody wants to stump the HR lady? Leadership can get up hip and does. Do they have bosses? Oh, they absolutely can. Seen it happen. They're held accountable too. You guys aren't the only ones who have performance reviews. Believe it or not, your bosses get them. And your bosses' bosses get them. We all have to fill out this form. Thank you again, those of you who came in person, for being interactive, for being engaged, for caring, for doing what you do every day, truthfully. Our jobs aren't easy, and sometimes they're thankless. You are seen. If I can help anybody with anything in relation to work, career development goals, evals, I'm a phone call away. My office is upstairs here. Let me know. Email me, send me a Teams message, whatever. Bat signal, I can't promise I'll respond to a bat signal, but thank you. Appreciate, guys.